Hello, my name is Caitlin Allison, and I am in my third year studying early childhood education at the University of Arkansas. Today, I have the honor of sharing with you Woman Reading by Will Barnet. Woman Reading is located at the Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art located in Bentonville, Arkansas. The permanent exhibit of Crystal Bridges showcases a timeline of American art spanning 5 centuries. After being dazzled by pieces from colonial and 19th century artists, one arrives in the space containing post-World War II art movements, such as abstraction, pop art, op art, minimalism, and conceptualism. One of many Will Barnet pieces on display, Woman Reading is created from oil on canvas, using the process of serigraphy or screen printing. One of the most interesting aspects of this piece is that it does not represent one true style. Rather, it represents a culmination of many influences within post-World War II United States. The piece is a merging of Will Barnet's mastery of 1950s abstract expressionism, Indian space painting, and pop art. Will Barnet studied these movements at the Boston Museum of Fine Arts and became the youngest instructor of graphic arts ever to hold a faculty position at the Art Student League of New York. Barnet later stated the pieces that feature his family members are influenced by the work of Dutch Baroque painter Jan Vermeer. He explains that Vermeer could take a corner of a room and make it into the whole world. One can see how this translates into his work as he affectionately paints his wife in a seemingly common but surprisingly intimate activity. Barnet's studio was always in his home, so his wife, children, and family pets are often subjects of his work. Nevertheless, Barnet is widely acclaimed for his ability to portray both a sense of universality and individuality. That said, while he is painting his wife Elena distinctly, most importantly, Barnet communicates the warmth he feels for this woman that means so much to him even in this commonplace, mundane situation. Woman Reading is a figurative, representational depiction of a woman reclining in a bed with her cat. While the piece is stylized in a geometric fashion, the subject and setting is clear. The bedding is represented with only straight lines and is lacking the texture that fabric should have. The cat, too, while painted with organic lines, lacks the texture and form that a cat would realistically have. The cat also acts to assist with atmospheric perspective. The cat in the woman's arms are much larger in relation to her head and facial features. This scale is helpful by letting the viewer know that the figure is reclining straight back in the bed, sort of propped up by the pillows behind her. The composition relies heavily on strong horizontal lines to divide the page. The emphasis is in the center of the composition, the woman. The color, along with the symmetrical and balanced forms, assist in drawing the eye to the woman's face. The brilliant red of the bedding and bright blue of the book divide the plane into thirds with the entirety of the focal point, the woman and the cat, contained within the middle section. The cat's head being directly beneath her own, her arms on either side of her face, and the book creating a straight line across the top are all symmetrical shapes that frame the subject. The work really is an autobiographical and biographical piece. From one glance, you feel like this painting is of someone you know, someone familiar. It is an autobiographical in that it is an expression of the artist's emotion towards the woman. It also speaks volumes about the artist that he is allowed to see the woman in this vulnerable state. In her preoccupied gaze, it seems that she's not exactly posing for the artist, but rather that he has taken advantage of her stillness to create his work. This makes the work much more intimate because it is clear that the artist wanted to capture the beauty of this woman that she displays when she isn't even trying. It is also biographical because it obviously tells the story of the woman in the painting. She is someone so kind, warm, and patient that the cat feels comfortable relaxing so close to her. It tells us that the woman is intellectual and appreciates literature. Finally, the woman is slightly idealized with her bright blue eyes, pink lips, and long, slender fingers. She is beautiful and clearly a muse for our artist, Will Barnet. Woman Reading was created in 1965, a little after the American abstraction movement of the 1930s through mid-1960s. Will Barnet both practiced and taught the techniques of this movement, so he knew them well. His mastery of these techniques is evident in the series he did depicting his family later in life. The geometric forms and hard, crisp edges represent the geometric abstraction influence. Barnet followed artists such as Hans Hofmann and Josef Albers, taking basic polygon shapes and arranging them in space to create attention-grabbing work. Barnet's face-framing trapezoid and colored rectangular setting proves his geometric inclination. Like I said before, Barnet himself admits to being influenced by the Dutch Baroque painter Jan Vermeer. Their purpose is certainly the same, to create an intimate interior scene that has a greater meaning. While they are both successful in creating a storyline and emotion from a still of everyday life, their techniques are different. Vermeer utilizes light and shadows in an amazing realistic way. Barnet instead uses flat coloration with no true light source or realistic shadowing. Barnett's technique is much closer to the pop artist of his time. Tom Wesselman is the pop artist that created this piece, Great American Nude, in 1964. Clearly their purpose is much different. Wesselman intended to create a jarring, vulgar work, while Barnett was lovingly painting the mother of his children. One cannot help but to see the stylistic similarities. Both combine three-dimensional forms with flattened geometric abstraction. Both feature a specific, reclining woman with an air of universality. The bright and textureless colors only reinforce the fact that Barnett was definitely influenced by the pop art movement. I was drawn to this piece because while abstract and flat, it seemed more genuine than any other portrait I've ever seen. Portraits are generally intentionally posed for, but in this piece there doesn't seem to be any sense of pretension. This common scene reminds me of my own mother, relaxing with a book after a long day, occasionally lazily petting the house pet. It's likely that she's not wearing makeup or wearing her old, comfy pajamas, but she is still very beautiful to me. Without fixing herself up, sitting up straight, or trying at all, she is beautiful because she means so much to me. That is why I chose this painting. It represents the woman that we all know and love. The bright colors break up the composition and guide our eye around what is most important. It doesn't matter what she's reading or what fabric the sheets are made from. The person in the center in her natural environment is what our eye is drawn to. It reminds us all that every moment with a person that you love and care about is beautiful in and of itself.